Hey guys, Cyberjump here, and today we're doing something we've never really done with the channel. We're doing a tier list. Yeah, I'm very behind in this trend. So we'll be rating the executions in Danganronpa. We've got different ranks. We've got the top is complete despair, then shocking, painful, a bit boring, and that's it. So it's, the execution's like, oh, that's it? Alright. So why don't we just jump right into this, and if you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and maybe I'll do another one. Who knows, you guys do enjoy the Danganronpa content, and I've slowly moved away from the fandom, but I want to respect you guys, and if you guys continue on being cool as you are and giving me love, I'll just keep going up to the sprite animation 500. Anyway, first execution is Jin Kirigiri. Ironic because it's the first execution in the series that we get to see. Honestly, it's my favourite execution of all time. It is just the idea of it is you open up and you don't know what's really happened. You just see this man strapped down and there's a bear in front of him, and you see people's reactions to it and they're shocked. They're shocked, like, wait, what's happening? I'm not going to put complete despair. I'll probably put shocking, like, oh yeah, it's a raw introduction to the series, and later on you find out like who he is, and it's like, oh wait, oh, that was the headmaster, and you realise, and I enjoy that later on. Next up is, oh no, I'm going to get more made person Danganronpa Kurumi. I've got a big secret to tell. I didn't like V3. Like, I'm one who gets right into like this things and that, but at that point, the predictive like story, fun fact, I managed to predict like most of the deaths in that. I managed to even predict that she was gonna be a murderer, just for the fact like, oh yeah, you have the one person that's eager to protect, and then you had the lazy guy, like, oh yeah, he's gonna kill the lazy tennis player. So for that, I would also say shocking, just for the fact that, like, oh yeah, like it was pretty despair inducing, like we're going up and you know what's gonna snap. It might go painful, just because they climb up and like, oh yeah, it's gonna be at the top. I was like, oh yeah, all that pain they went through it and then fall. Even though we kind of just saw that with Chiaki's death and the anime, you saw like, oh yeah, there's a hope, she made it to the exit, reaches out, spear through chest, and then spears up. Next is Chihiro. Oh, technically it's alter ego because Chihiro already got murdered. And I'm gonna put this as it's a bit kind of boring. That's it, because all it is getting the laptop's broken, and you know, like, oh, eventually they'll come back. Because it felt like, oh yeah, it's like, oh yeah, we need someone to execute. There's a laptop, and like, oh, said, oh yeah, there was that thing of, yeah, it's causing despair because that was their only hope out, but that's it. Oh, you could have more of like a different type of execution, but just a digger, just hitting, you could have more. Next up is Celesta Ludenberg. Yeah, I think for the fact of what her execution stands for, like, she sees herself as a noble lady who wants to do nothing but to, like, oh yes, I want a castle in a Europe landscape covered with servants and waiters, a hand, like, wait on me, hand and foot. For that fact alone, it even goes into the free time event, like, she doesn't like being poor. I'll go for painful, just for the fact of, you see, like, oh yeah, she's getting what she wants, and then just a normal death of being hit by a truck or a fire truck. It was funny, and it's like, that was shocking, because it truly gave less despair, because you were going away that nobles died and French history was like burned to the stake. Anyway, let's go on to, yeah, I'm just gonna, whoop. Yeah, people that know, I've got bias. I love Chiaki. It might be like a normie thing to say, but Chiaki is best girl for a reason. Just, she was like, even though like, oh yeah, character one note, but if you get into why it's one note, she's a robot. She's an AI. Like, you could say like, oh yeah, it's just alter ego death, but she's got one of the most stunning executions of trying to escape. But that was she gets 2 escape executions. First one, she like escape from like Space Invaders, then from Pac-Man, then gets killed by a Tetris beast, and then you've got the I'm going to include the despair arc going through that room, because what was that? That was pure torture. It was used to I'm not a big fan of the brainwash thing, because I prefer the old narrative that people thought of, because it's a good animatic called Rock Bottom, where they told the story of like how Ibuki, like, she got left out, and then Junko basically approaches her and goes, hey, yeah, you know, like, you feel you're rock bottom, but with me, you know me. And it's like, she manipulates people who are edge of despair. That's why, like, Nikan, her whole arc of like feeling like, oh yeah, I'm lonely, I need a friend, and Junko's there to like help her along, basically take out the despair that's naturally inside and amputate it, not amputate, amplify, amputate. Yeah, they also did that, we don't want to talk about that though. But yeah, that whole thing is why Jackie's complete despair. I'm pretty sure this is Aoi's brother, Yuta. I'm yet to play another episode. I have got things spoiled for me because it's Danganronpa fan. I have to get to that. I would say it's painful because it was not seen coming, but I didn't really know the character well. It's like, it feels like he was the example person, a bit like in the Future arc where you just had the guy like, oh yeah, if he witnesses violence, he's dead, which in a game of killing, it's gonna be likely. So it's he just felt like an example of what. But it felt more shocking is, you know, Aoi's alive, meaning that she just lost her brother. Like, it's not one of the dead characters where you see later on where Chihiro's dad is mauled to death by mono bears, and yeah, it's painful, but it's just an example. But just for the fact, like, oh, it is all these guys, they're teenagers, but that was a child going to another one that I have to admit, I just, because like, oh yeah, his execution would have just been stung to death. I might go painful or low painful, just for the fact of what he, like, I love Contact, he was an adorable character, but as soon as his, like, I knew the thing was the 4th trial is always including the big guy. Do you think the pattern so far, Sakura died in the first game, just was the victim and the murderer, but technically the victim. Nekomaru was the victim in the second game, was just the victim, so the only one left by itself was a straight murderer. So you could guess like, oh yeah, Gonta's gonna kill someone, but like, oh yeah, Gonta had no control over what they did, and it was just a clumsy mistake is what caused it, and it felt like, oh no, doesn't really deserve it. Like, to do that thing like, oh yeah, it was the AI, which was a little unfair. I didn't really think it was, story went a bit weird there, and like, I mean, it was a way to kill off Mew, like, knowing like, oh, Mew planned that to kill Oma, but like, if it really is like, oh, you die in game, you die in real life, it's just strange. So let's move on from one animal lover to another. Yeah, I love, like, it's just gonna show bias. Like, I love Gundam, but the thing is, he did it with sacrifice. Nekomaru fought to the death, just so like, oh yeah, I will sacrifice myself to basic to like say, oh yeah, things are going bad, people are running out of food, we need to find a way out, and the only way out is murder, meaning that's what they did. They committed murder to help everyone escape, even though Gonta's character's like, oh yeah, I'm the villain. That's how Gonta felt. If you look at his free time events, not Gonta, Gundam felt like he was nothing. He hated himself. He said, oh, he can't have friends because his blood is acid. And it was that thing of the one thing he did, before he left in his own note, he fought face on, and he just wanted to protect his children. And also, because my name's Cyberchamp, if you can guess, it was someone called me. It was one of the friends called me a hamster, so it was just this image of Champ, or Champy, one of the Gundam's hamsters. That's me. I shall be Champy from now on. Next up, thing is, honestly, it's just if I had to like name, like, I'm gonna just jump things. So if I say like, oh, it's pain, like this is gonna be a painful death, like it's all the executions at once, but it's like, oh, how's she surviving? Oh, okay, but then it's like that thing that's just a bit of drop, like she realised what she's done. Second one was just delete code. And then the last one was like, oh yeah, I was Junko all along. Dun dun dun. Who's that behind everything? It's Junko all along. It's always Junko. It's like we could have had a good twist behind it. Like there was thinking this on DR2. Akane could have been the villain. Like, oh yeah, she was one of the spares, and she was Junko and put herself in the game. That would be interesting. Because Smugi, I just don't like her. I knew instantly, like a cosplayer, just Junko, that's gonna be Junko, and it just bothered me the entire game, and that's what kind of ruined V3 for me. So I'm just gonna put a bit boring because I'm saying that's Smugi kind of ruined it for me, because it's like, oh yeah, just got squashed, and I don't like V3, so that's why it's so low. Honestly, if they reveal like Junko was actually in one of the controllers of the game and not Sumugi, that would be more interesting. Like, Sumugi is just an imposter, so the irony there. Kaede, oh boy, I knew Kaede would probably die, because I thought Frat Protection was she would die and Kibo would be the new player character, which, funny enough, later down the line you do get to play as Kibo, but I thought instantly she was going to die. But that execution, and because the theme of Claire de Lune, it's one of my favourite songs of all time. It's the beautiful instrumental. It makes me cry because of like You Lie in April, but this as well, oh boy, like I think chapter 1 was a beautiful thing of the game, then later on it just soured on me. Kaede's death, completely shocking. Next, I'm gonna put Kaito up there. Later, there was that point in the game that, yeah, like you kind of knew, like, yeah, he was the one in the suit and commit murder, but the way he went out in his own notes, he managed to get to space and he died. He broke the execution. That was more shocking for me. It was a failed execution. He wasn't executed. He died, and that's why it's so high compared to the rest, because you had like, oh yeah, you knew the rest was like what's going to happen, but pretty much I loved it. It was brought back an old execution. It's the same executions, the same bit, but I honestly think it was clever, well done, like actually bringing back an old execution, and it's like, oh yeah, this is the 53rd one, so they're reusing assets, so the people in the audience going, oh, I recognise that, just like people playing the game, they go, oh, I recognise that. And moving on, I'm going to do, move that there now, I'm going to do these two at the same time. I'm going to go there for painful, because like that's, you've lost. If Kirigiri dies, that's you out, you messed up. And I'm gonna put Naegi down here just for the fact that if you even look at my wee character, like I've got that's one of my thing. I always got the red shoes. That was Naegi, like, oh yeah, you don't kill him, he's lucky. So that was like, you knew luck would go in, so that's why I'm saying it's a bit boring, because you knew he would survive, because they wouldn't just kill off your character, which later down the line, yeah, they actually did kill off the character, but this one was more predictable that you were not gonna die. I think Leon is overused memes and all that, but shocking. It's the first proper execution of someone, and you see him executed in a way that he doesn't like. He doesn't like practice. He was in a practice arena, and yeah, there. Honestly, I won't put that's it. It was just that was like, oh yeah, it's a boiling pot, and then it got a bit weird. But Mikan's had some kind of thing. Yeah, I'm almost saying that's it. In fact, yeah, let's just go down, put higher, that's it. Because Mikan, I can barely remember what Mikan's was. It was just the injection, and someone who's had a vaccination recently. That's a bit just boring compared to the rest. Next up, Mondo. Shocking. Because I think, like, oh yeah, the wheel, but I think it doesn't get worse until the end. I think no one expected the butter. The Mondo butter is one of the biggest jokes of Danganronpa, and then you see the next Monokuma theater, and he's just eating pancakes with butter, and it's brutal. Like, that's, you had the other more shocking deaths. It's like, oh wait, this is the first execution. This is a close character, close to someone. This one's more, did they really do that? Like, you knew, like, oh yeah, he's gonna die, but like, you might not like the character Mondo, but that was a quite a surprising way. Like, his bar. How? Next up, we're going Pico with Pekoyama. Honestly, I'm jumping between painful and shocking. I might go top of painful, because it was really more like, you know, as soon as you did, it was just, I felt like a repeat of the third trial again, whereas like someone in a costume pretending to be, what was it, the second trial was like, oh yeah, you had Genocide Show in the first one, and now you have like, oh yeah, I'm the shining killer. Trial kind of ruined it, and I'm putting it like top painful because that's no other way to say it. It was just more painful for Peko, like knowing she hurt her master, could have killed her. But then, like, the Monokuma ambulance had to come in, like, hey look, we need to save him, because he technically didn't get executed. Teru. I need to put top of painful. Not really shocking. I think it's shocking of what it was, but it was more like, oh yeah, it was the first execution, but people didn't really want the character alive, I would say. Like, there was not really much to redeem him. He was just the joke character who died first, rather than like the other ones where first execution was Kaede and Leon. So yeah, that has not much else to say. But Teru's death, he's just there. Teru, and like, oh yeah, it could have been Nagito behind all it, and I didn't expect that, like, the evil Nagito would come out. Like, I thought he would be like the first victim, but like, it was the two characters you're unsure about. Is Nagito, as he's your voice, and is now previous Lucky Shun. What was Naegi last time? It shows the difference between them. See what I'm talking about? I'm talking more about Nagito than I am Teru. That goes to show how much I actually like Teru. Not at all. Anyway, that's my list. I don't think I'll shift out because they're all fairly close to where I want it. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more, make sure to leave a like, comment, and if I messed up, leave a comment. See where would you list the things, because I know people are going to get angry at some of these. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. And